Hey guys, Robin here, and welcome to another movie review. So today's movie is honestly though today's movie is a science fiction movie from, well, actually the year's a bit sketchy on that, but anyway, I'll get more on that later. Today's movie is Escape from Planet Earth, which, like my copy of Son of Blob, came in a big box. Now, now I should point out right here that Escape from Planet Earth is not this movie's like actual title. This is just what they called the movie. This is just what they called the movie on this home video print. The actual title of the movie is Doomsday Machine. And the movie starts with the discovery of said device. A spy basically breaks into a Chinese military base using a cat to distract a guard dog. And she finds a Chinese doomsday device that could literally destroy the planet. And and there is a manned mission to Venus that has three of its six-member crew replaced by three women. So they've basically been paired off in a latter day Noah's Ark, which is really one character refers to it as such. So they are launched into space towards Venus, and once they disembark, war breaks out and the Earth is destroyed. And the destruction of Earth is basically represented with um it's represented with like a painted light bulb flashing red, along with stock footage from the 1962 Japanese movie Gorath. and then and then the planet's actual destruction as happening by is shown by a split-second cut of this movie's special effects representation of Earth, with like a split second of a blown up candle. Yeah, like it's so quick, like blink and you miss it. And one cast member gets particularly aggressive towards a female one, taking her to a place where he attempts to force himself onto her, but he at one point he shoves herself away, causing her to hit a button on the wall that opens the airlock. Yeah, this ship had a button that opens the airlock just in plain view, where someone cleaning could have bumped it with their elbow. Anyways, now what do you think would happen if someone was in outer space and the airlock was open, right? They would get sucked out. They would get sucked out. Their blood. They would get sucked out. All of the liquid inside their bodies would cold boil. Their eyes would get like sucked out of their head. Well, what happens in this movie? Well, they suffocate and they're bleeding from the eyes, and they just float around in the same room like ragdolls. They didn't get sucked out into space. Why? Well, the majority of this movie was filmed in 1967. In 1967, before the public knew a lot about the moon landing. Now, before the public knew very much about the moon landing. So, but however, when this movie was filmed, was not the same when it was released, because, as I said earlier, the reason why I'm not able to put an exact year onto this movie is because while the majority of it was filmed in 1967, um, they ran out of money and had to stop. and they didn't get started back up again until 1972, 5 years later. Now and now they were able to finish the movie. However, they did not have access to the original sets or the original cast. And yeah, basically, man, and basically the difference between the footage from 67 and the stuff they made to finish the movie in 72, it is glaringly obvious because, spoiler alert, in case anyone actually wants to watch this movie, when I go like this, spoilers are over, okay? For those who have muted the 1960s, for those who have muted, um, a problem happens with the ship, and they have to leave. The at this point, there's four survivors because again, two of them die thanks to an airlock being opened, which somehow didn't suck them out into the vacuum of space, where they died a very horrific, where they would have died a very grisly and horrific death that probably would not have been allowed to have been shown in 67. But anyway, so there's a problem with the ship. Uh, um, and one of the so two of them opt to stay inside while two go outside to fix it. One of the two that opts to go outside to fix the ship is a Russian woman with a very noticeable Russian accent. And but thing is, when it gets to the part of the footage, when it gets to the part of the movie they finished 5 years later, this woman's accent vanishes completely, and the spaceship itself also just vanishes without a trace. And they find another Soviet spaceship that was left abandoned. Yeah, yeah, their spaceship disappeared, and it just conveniently happened upon an abandoned Soviet spaceship. Now, of course, now many of the scenes from the 1967 footage, well, of the scenes like in the spaceship, there's obviously like a lot of colors, like there's lights, there's colors like around the film, like the light is in many different colors, but with here it's just majority of it is just yeah just also another thing is when it gets to the 1967, I mean to the 1972 footage, you never you the visors the astronauts were wearing from the 1967 footage, they suddenly become non-transparent, like you can't see through it whatsoever, opaque, if you may. And it's just, I mean, like, and that just bugged me because, like, if that was the best they could do to finish, no, anyway, so they make it to Venus, but a voice of a god from Venus or something says they're not welcome here because they destroyed their own planet, and they're basically teleported outside of the universe. So for all we know, in the universe of this movie, humanity is completely extinct. Yeah. Anyway, so my recommendation to you is the majority of the film up until you get to the part when they were able to finish it is good. The acting's okay. The uh the acting is okay. The writing, well, there is one point where characters are informed of the Doomsday Machine made by the Chinese, and one of them asks the question, those chopstick jockeys couldn't come up with a planet buster, could they? So yeah, keep in mind that this movie is definitely a product of its time. And in my opinion, like, if that was the best they could do to finish the movie, like, just, like, couldn't get the original cast back, nor the original sets, they basically just had to throw it together, and it's just, like, if that was the best they could do, then have just bought a toy spaceship from a toy store, put a firecracker in it, filmed that blowing up, and just from that blowing up, then just roll credits and call it a movie. But despite the fact this review has been largely negative, I do recommend that you watch the movie, but only the part of it that was filmed in 1967, which is basically the first majority of the film. The 1972 footage is only like the last 5-10 minutes, just watch the movie up until up until it gets to the part where up until it goes to this 1972 footage, which you'll know because it's incredibly obvious. Now, before I sign off, I would just like to say that I'd just like to show you because this is a box, and normally when I'm reviewing a movie, and normally movies I review, it's just a slip sleeve where the movie can come out, yeah, like this. But since this one is a box, I'm gonna open it. Yeah, you open it up at the top like this. Then you pull this thing out. Yeah, it's a black plastic case. Open it up, and here is what the cassette looks like. Yeah, it's very similar to like what's on the back of the box. See, yeah, Academy, this, this is Now honestly, like I have no clue what the heck year to classify this movie as because like I mean, since the majority of it was filmed in 1967, because since like 90% of the since like 90 to 95% of the movie was filmed in 1967, you would argue that I should call it a 1967 movie. But the thing is, it was filmed, most of it was filmed in 67, but the movie wasn't finished or released until 1972. So, so like even like so like even though this wasn't when the movie was finished or released, should it be a 1967 movie, or should I classify it as a 1972 movie? Even though the footage, even though the footage looks like it came from a totally different movie and looks really lazy and crappy and shoddy put together. Like I don't know. Like should it be a 67 movie, 72 movie? Should it go on a future 60s sci-fi shelf, or should I put it, or should I put it on my 70s sci-fi shelf with Welcome to Blood City? Anyways, well, post a comment down below what you think, and yeah, just yeah, yeah, just Also, stay tuned for a review of a very, very unusual print of a very, very unusual cassette that was put out by Warner Brothers. Yeah. Stay tuned. Thank you all for watching this review. Like, I'm sorry it took me so long to make another one. I've been meaning to get back into a schedule. It's just stuff's been happening, pandemic, all that, personal issues, yeah. So, thank you all for watching Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon in the near future. Peace.